Ramadan 80.79 on your FM dial with me, Ali Kamar, the Muslim poet. We have a special guest in the show today. We have Brother Ishmael Lee South from the Salaam Project. Brother Ishmael, welcome to the show.
Salaam alaikum, my brother. Jazakallah for the honor of allowing me to be on your show.
For those of you who don't know Ishmael Lee South, he actually deals a lot with youth engagement, mentoring, does a lot of workshops in schools, with young people from the ages of 16 to 25, also goes into prisons and young offenders institutes to try to give a positive message and to help these kids turn their lives around and to help them get an education so that they can make something of themselves in this beautiful world that we all live in that sometimes is clouded by negativity. So what Ishmael does is tries to really bring out the best in these young people, whether it be young men or young women. And his organization works in London and in Manchester. Ishmael, welcome to the show. Yeah, again, I know that you do a lot of work around mentoring and stuff like that. Tell us about the mentoring work that you do.
Okay, about the mentoring. Basically, I first got into mentoring 15 years ago with a wonderful sister called Sister Farah Bashir. And this is when I was first transitioning to youth work. Because when I first left school, I used to work in banking. So when I was working in banking, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, wearing a suit and tie, on the evening and weekends, I used to do Mecca to Medina in a hoodie, jeans, and so forth. So anyway, what happened was when I started to first get involved in youth work, there's a wonderful sister called Farah Bashir, who invited me to be part of a mentor program in Stonebridge. For those that don't know, Stonebridge is one of the most likely one of the most dangerous places in London at the time. It's kind of cool down now. So I never knew what mentoring was. So I was assigned a young person and I had to meet with them once a week or once a fortnight and just talk to them, hang out with them. So that was my understanding of mentoring. Then my second phase of mentoring was when another wonderful sister called Sister Nora Khan. This was on 5 years later. She was working in Wormwood Scrubs prison. And she used to call me, can you come and mentor some of the young people at Wormwood Scrubs? So I used to come in and just give a talk. Not just talk. Say, look, when you come out.
Where is Wormwood Scrubs? Is that in London?
Wormwood Scrubs in West London is
in Acton, isn't it? In Acton.
Acton, that's it. Yeah, right, Acton. Yeah. So another brother invited us from the Amal Trust, a brother called Sheikh Hashim. He invited us to Felton Prison. So same thing. So I always heard about
Felton is a young offenders institute. Yeah, it's a young offenders.
They used to come and ask us to come and do a little mentoring here and there. And then after a while, I got involved in youth work. So I always saw mentoring as something separately. And then we were asked, of course, as in the process at the time, I set up the Salaam Project. And then I was asked by 2 schools to organize a mentoring program to get some Muslim youth workers to mentor some young kids. In one school in East London and one school in Masajid in Manchester.
Right.
So we started the one in Masajid first, and alhamdulillah, it was going well. We were mentoring a lot of the kids because there were a lot of young people, including many Muslims, getting permanently excluded. So I just done an advert on social media. Hi there, we're looking for positive brothers, positive males, to mentor young kids, to show them a positive role models. You've got to be a professional, a skilled craftsman. You've got to be someone who own your own business. If you're unemployed, you can't be a mentor. If you're someone who's a recovering drug addict and you're not doing nothing of value at the moment, you can't be a mentor. So you have to be very strict. So we started the mentor project first face to face. And then what happened was COVID hit.
Oh, right.
So when COVID hit, because we met some of the mentors before, some of the mentees before, when COVID hit and the schools were shut down, parents started to call me. Salaam alaikum, brother, my son needs mentoring. Salaam alaikum, brother, my son needs mentoring. And that was just the Muslims. Then I got non-Muslims calling me. Please, my son needs a mentor. My son's playing up. My son's this, my son's that. So alhamdulillah. So what I done was I looked around for brothers, even though Ali Kamara, mashallah, has been working with the Salaam Project for over 7 years, mashallah, as a fundraiser and as a mentor, as a youth worker as well. But I said to myself, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write down a list of 20 brothers that I know personally, that are professionals, that are of good character, and basically I headhunted them. I called them, Brother Dawood, Brother Miles Shaheed, Brother Floyd Naeem, and I called again Brother Ali Kamara. I called various brothers and said, look, I need some mentors. And then thankfully through an organization, a brother called Mustafa Field and his organization Faiths Forum, they got us to do the safeguarding training for everyone. Then we got a brother called Rashid Nix from the mentor workshop to give everyone mentor training. And then through that, we started to do the mentoring. And then through the mentoring, when we started mentoring one kid, mothers would then tell, without us even promoting anything, mothers would then pass on our numbers to other parents, other care workers. And as you know, we're getting calls all the time from parents. Oh, my son's involved in county lines. My son carries a knife. My son got excluded from school. My son smokes weed. So we see mentoring as a positive intervention for young people in the community.
Let me just cut in there. Would you say that to be a mentor, it's like you've got to want to do it, because it's almost like giving back. Not everybody has the tenacity to be a mentor. Not everybody wants to put themselves in the firing line where you're dealing with these young people, because in a sense you want to give back to them. It is almost like giving back. It could be your nephew. You might look at that person as your nephew. You might look at them as your son. You might look at them as, a family member that's going off the rails a bit. So not everybody's cut out to do mentoring, I think. What's your opinion?
I agree with you. Not everyone's cut out for mentoring, because you might meet someone, he's a great role model, he's a working professional, he's successful, but when he can't talk to young people. There's some people I know I'll give you an example. There's someone that I know, he's a multi-millionaire, okay? This is someone that I know from when I was young. So this is not someone I read about, this is someone that I know, and this is who I've seen graft. But the unfortunate thing is when I put him with a young person, that person can't relate to him, because he can't relate to the young person. So that showed me that not everyone could be a mentor. So it's going to be someone, the mentor has to be, first of all, he has to want to do it. That's the first thing. If he doesn't want to do it, I always say, you know what, bro, nothing personal. If you don't want to do it, just go. Because if you don't want to do it, the young person will pick it up within a millisecond. Yeah. And then the second thing, they've got to have good communication skills. They've got to understand how to talk to people like you. They've got to know how to understand how different young people think different ways.
Yeah.
And the third thing I always say is be yourself. You could be a posh. You don't have to be street. You don't have to be a guy who used to be on road and that has made a change. You could be a guy who just means well. And what made me see this, I was doing some work in South London, and there was a white British posh, well-to-do lady, okay? When you hear her speak, you're thinking, whoa, what is she doing here? Right? What's she doing here? But you could see that she really wanted to help. So the kids used to gravitate to her, not because she was an ex-road, she was an ex-street, she never come from
cared. She cares.
She just cared. That's all that. So when I saw that, for me, that was an education, because I always thought you're always going to need someone who's from the roads to engage. But that girl, she educated me, because all she done was she cared. So when they used to tell her problems, she used to phone around, she used to go and get books, she used to do research, she used to ask me about Black culture. You can see that she genuinely wanted to know. I'm not being racist, but why do Blacks do this? And she really wanted to know. So that showed me, once you care, you can be yourself, you can relate to young people, and you just be genuinely you, and you want to do it. That's all you need to become a mentor.
Yeah, the thing is, where some people go wrong is that with children as well, they gravitate towards you. If you show them that you care, they're interested. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why some people go wrong is that they don't have that caring side to them, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for attention. They're looking for somebody that cares and somebody that can help them, bring the best out of themselves. Do you know what I mean? And the reason why a lot of people get into mentoring, if they like it, is because they know these are the traits that you need, and they have that care inside. So they want to give. They want to be a giver. They want to give themselves to that cause and that organization.
Yes, definitely. And you said the main thing is, once you show that you care, just show that you care. You don't have to be from where they're from. Once you show that you care, that's one of the biggest stepping stones for communicating with someone. And a lot of these young people, as you know, Ali, they just want someone to talk to that they can relate to. No
100%.
disrespect to the no disrespect to the mothers, but they're thinking, okay, mum, you don't really understand. Mum, you don't really know what I'm going through. But when they sing a young man, when they sing a man, and I'm sorry, this is gonna might sound a bit misogynistic, might sound a bit sexist, but young boys need to learn from men. Okay. Of course, women can mentor young boys. Yes, I do understand. But every young boy needs a male energy, because we have to remember, within the Muslim community, as the Asian, African, Afro-Caribbean, white, Arab community, there's got one thing in common. Divorce is rife. Divorce is off the scale.
Say that again. In what community divorce is rife, did you say?
In the Asian community, divorce is rife. The Arab community, divorce is rife. The white British community, the divorce is rife. The African community, divorce is rife. The African Caribbean.
So you say right across the board, divorce
across the board.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And how I got into youth work is, I used to work in banking. My nephew went off the rails when his parents split. When his parents split, he went off the rails. And then I thought that was just a one-off case. But what I'm learning is, this is the trigger in why a lot of young people go off the rails. Not the sole reason, but
you say that's the catalyst.
That's the catalyst.
Yeah.
So when the parents split, it brings an imbalance. So I always say to mums, if the young boy especially stays with the mum, if the father's not there in the house, you need to replace that energy with your elder brother, with an uncle, with a grandfather, someone. Of course, they're going to be checked out, due diligence. They're going to be checked out and things like that. But many, unfortunately, because we're living in a world where overt sexism is consistently promoted, many women are under the misunderstanding, thinking, I don't need a man. I don't
that's all nonsense to say that they don't need a man, because
people in the Muslim community,
it's like saying that a man doesn't need a woman in the house. It's not being sexist. You know, you need it's great to have both parents. You know, that thing of I don't need a man, I'm independent. That's dead. I mean, even Beyonce sang the song, but she's got Jay-Z on her arm. So what does that tell you? Do you know what I mean? You need both parties there. It brings about a good balance to have both parents there. Children identify with that. They feel confident. They feel secure. So to have both parents there, you know, I think it's really, really important, to be honest with you. You know, psychologically, it does so much for the kids. You wouldn't believe it, what it does for them. To know they've got somebody that's supporting them, somebody that cares, somebody that's interested. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're not the biological.
Yeah.
Non-biological dads, do an amazing job.
Amazing job. And I always salute those brothers even more. The ones who marry sisters with 3 or 4 kids, with 5 kids even. I always say, you're too high. You're spiritually high, because you're doing what most men won't do. And by you being in the house, you're doing so much good, you don't even know.
Yeah, 100%. I know there is a lot of problem with single parent families in the UK, and we're not putting a negative touch to that, but we're just saying that it is prevalent in the society today, and it's prevalent. You can blatantly see it. Tell us about the work you do in schools. I know you do a lot of workshops in schools in London and in Manchester. Tell the viewers about that. For those who've just tuned in, we have Ishmael Lee South on the show today. He's the director of the Salaam Project, which is based in London and Manchester, and they do a lot of work with schools and workshops. They go into prison, young offenders institutes. He sets up workshops and job and education training for the youth from the ages of 16 to 25, and he also works with football academies in London and in Manchester.
Yes,
Brother Ishmael.
Yeah. So how we got into schools is when we first started to do projects in Harlesden, basically because I was working at the time. So I used to pay for a hall myself, invite a speaker to come, get some poets to perform. And what happened was, unknown to me at the time, the head of the London Borough of Brent Youth Services used to attend. I used to think he was a parent. He used to just sit at the back, watch, and go for the first 3 times. The fourth time he said to me, I've got some problems in some schools. My youth workers won't do it. Can I send you? So I said, okay. So through him, I got into schools. So first thing I used to do drama programs and rap and poetry programs just to engage the young people. Because as you know, you don't come preachy because you're no different from the teacher. So that's the first thing I used to do. Then I noticed that young people in the schools, they never knew how to do a CV. They never knew nothing about doing applying for a job. They never knew nothing about their history, their Black history. Right. The Muslim kids never knew nothing about their Muslim history. Young Black kids and young Muslim kids were not aware, or they suffered stop and search, but they never knew how to deal with it. So then I said to myself, what I'm gonna do workshops. So the workshops I'm gonna do employability skills workshops. I'm gonna do workshops on British Muslim history, so people can understand their British Muslim history. And I do history on Black history in the UK history. Then I do workshops on stop and search, how to deal with the policeman. Simple skills: keep a distance, be polite, speak when spoken to. If you don't agree with what they're saying, agree to disagree. Yeah. Remember the number. If they act out of hand, say anything, report them. Yeah. So these are the main workshops that we do. And we do workshops around, there's one that was inspired by you, Ali, called Boys to Men. So basically it's a conversation that we had that many young people don't know how to deal with anger management, don't know how to deal with basic life skills. So we called it Boys to Men. So coming from a boy, which is 12, 13, people don't understand when you're becoming 14, 15, you're becoming a man, even though you don't really become a man until around 25, 26, but in society ways, you're becoming a man. So it's to learn how to learn transferable skills, emotional intelligence.
At the adolescent stage.
Yeah, how to manage your adolescence, knowing that a manhood is not just by sleeping with, going with lots of women, or by having a gun, or by having a knife. Being a young boy is by having more social responsibility, being a person of good conduct. So these are the main workshops that we do in schools around London and around Manchester. And so we do knife crime awareness as well, and county lines awareness as well. So we believe, and doing these workshops is to help young people to speak. And by doing these workshops, young people come to you and say, look, people have been approaching me, I've had no one to talk to. And then you talk to them and say, look, you need to talk to your parents. Look, you need to move to your aunt's house. If they're really bothering you like that, where does your aunt live? Oh, my aunt lives in Cornwall. You need to go and stay with your aunt, because your life comes first. You don't want to risk your life. So little things like that. Okay, mashallah. There is a lot of good in what you're doing in terms of the workshops and going into schools. What do you find is the most harrowing thing at the moment when it comes to young people? What is the thing that you're most scared of that they're doing at this present time? Me, the two most scariest things I would say is knife crime and county lines. So with knife crime, because it's so prevalent in our society, we're seeing innocent people, innocent good boys. People have the misconception thinking it's only bad boys and gangsters that carry knives. No, there's many good boys who are carrying knives to protect themselves because they're scared of being mugged. They're scared of being attacked. And that's one of my biggest concerns. The second thing is county lines. Now, for those that don't know, they don't know. Explain to people, break it down what county lines is. Yeah, even I myself, I'm not 100% sure what it is. So just break it down for the viewers. Okay, so county lines is someone who's from Ilford, for example, and they've been asked by the local drug dealer, because the local drug dealer, because most likely he's got a criminal record, most likely he's being watched by the police, and he knows this. Most likely he's got an informer around him. So what he does is, when he's selling drugs, or it could be stolen goods, it could be guns and weapons, and he needs the drugs or illegal content to be, he has a client that's in Westminster. So he, most likely he, won't go to Westminster because he'll know that he'll get arrested, he'll get caught, sent back to prison. So what he does is, he looks for the most innocent looking young person. most of the time it's a boy. On some occasions, it's a girl. And yes, sometimes it's a girl with a lovely hijab. MashaAllah. So, yeah. So what they do is they give them the drugs or the guns or the stolen goods or the stolen weapons, and they say to them, drop this. So just imagine they're in Ilford, drop this to Westminster, and here's £50. And the young person, because they're young, they're in their school uniform, they're unassuming, they deliver the drugs or the stolen goods to Westminster to another drug kingpin, and then they'll get money. And then some, so at first it's like a one-off thing here and there, but then after a while, it becomes a consistent thing where they get not only sent to Westminster, they'll get sent to Essex, Kent, they'll get sent to Worcestershire, sent to Manchester from London, or sent to Liverpool. And sometimes they'll be gone 2 or 3 days. The kid tells their parents, oh, mum, I'm just on a school trip. I'm just on a school trip, mommy, I'll be back. But really, they're going to deliver drugs or whatever. So this is county lines.
So break this down. So say, for instance, a young boy lives in, just say, Edgware Road, right? And he's involved with county lines, and someone was, the kingpin drug dealer will say to him, you need to drop this parcel to Manchester.
Yes.
It would have to travel all the way to Manchester. But would they know what they're dropping, or wouldn't they know?
Most of the time they know. Most of the time the young person knows. Only when they get caught, oh, I never know. But 99% of the time they know.
I'm going to be a bit naive here. I find it very disturbing to know that a hijabi girl, you've probably come up with these cases yourself, would take drugs for somebody and drop it to another destination. Obviously, girls are always used in these kind of environments as a smokescreen because they're less likely to get pulled over than the boys would, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
have you ever had an experience where parents come to you or from the Salaam Project, or you've heard a story that, hey, you know, a true factual one where this is what the young person's done, and they're like, you know, from a Muslim background?
Yeah, there's plenty of Muslims involved in county lines. I've got a story of when someone went to a house where a Muslim family, a Muslim son was selling drugs, and they never see him around for a long time. So someone really wanted their drugs. So they went to his house, and knocked on the door, and the mum came out in hijab and everything.
SubhanAllah.
And then he said, oh, it's okay. I just came to see Abdul. And the mum said, how much? With her hand out like this.
Huh?
How much? She put her hand out. How much? And he gave her a tenner. And then mum went back in, and the mum gave him drugs.
Yeah, that when them kind of things is like, it's just really disturbing, Ishmael. Very, very disturbing.
Because sometimes it's within the family as well. And there was another one where the son was selling drugs. The whole Muslim community knew. All the family knew. Okay. Through the money he made from the drugs, he paid for all the family, paid off the mortgage or whatever. And then the family were okay with it. They tried to get the younger brother in. The younger brother said, I don't want to do that. And then the brother had to run away from home. This is the other side that we don't hear. Because many of the times, some of the families, they perpetuated it as well. So just imagine you're a son and your parents are co-signing drug dealing and they want to get you involved, and you're thinking, this is not me. And this is what some Muslim use. So the Muslim use are not the, so when people are saying, oh, it's the kuffar system, it's not the non, it's many times it's Muslims as well. And I'm going to be very controversial, and apologies to all the uncles. There's many mosques that are washing drug money. So someone in the committee, one of their sons are selling drugs. The other people in the committee know it. So what they say is, pay the money into the mosque account, it wash, then we So the corruption is all the way around.
Bro, you need to verify that one. That's a big one you just came off with there, man. I'm not all right. That's a big one.
I'll introduce you to someone so they can tell you face to face.
Wow, that's like you're playing with Allah when you're doing that kind of thing, because this is a house of this is a house of worship. You want to go and do your work outside, I don't agree with it. We don't agree with it. But if that's the life you're living, okay, fair enough, right? But don't come and wash your money in a house of worship where people are worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, paying their charity, paying their zakat, and this is a beacon of the community, you know. And you're coming in there, and you know, I mean, if you know about it, let speak out about it. Let them be taken off the board and stuff like that, because you know it's not acceptable, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? It's hurting me, and I don't even know which mosque it is. Do you know what I'm saying? You know,
brother, is mosques.
Wow. I don't know what to say. SubhanAllah. Well, we all know that not everybody's going to Jannah, and we all know that not everybody is straightforward. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And we all know that not everybody makes a halal pound note. But the funny thing is, you know, to hear about it in a mosque is like it's not on. It's like, you know, you don't want to believe these kind of things. And like I said, we don't want to be naive, because there's a lot of things that happen within the Muslim community that we pretend to shy away from. And obviously, you know, it's probably a small majority of the mosques involved in that.
Minority, it's a small minority. I don't think
it really reflects, Ishmael, the wider community.
No, most Muslims, mashallah, are law-abiding people.
I don't think it really affects the wider community.
Yeah, but these realities exist, especially when you're speaking to young people who are around it. That's when it affects you. So when you're speaking to young people, there's a young person in particular who's going through a similar issue, and you're trying to speak to the people in the community, and everyone turns a blind eye. So this is another issue. It's a big issue, and I would say this is more in the Muslim community and the Hindu community. I would say it's big in the Muslim community and the Hindu community. Many of the elders have their heads in the sand.
Yeah.
They do not want to face the reality. They believe, most of the Muslim elders believe, all the Muslims in prison are all black converts. That's what they think. If I wish I could take them all to Wormwood Scrubs, Feltham, there's thousands of Pakistanis, Bengalis, Moroccans, Algerians. When I'm speaking to so-called Muslim elders, oh, we don't need to deal with Muslim ex-offenders. They're all converts and reverts, Jamaicans, you know. They're not really Muslim. They don't understand, many of them, because when their nephews and cousins and nieces and nephews are in prison, they ostracize them and they disown them, and that pushes them to do even more crime. This is the third thing. So not only is there county lines, knife crime are the biggest issues. Heads in the sand is a big issue, and non-acknowledgement of the harsh realities of young people. And sorry, the final thing I have to say is the top 1,500 Muslim charities in the UK generate over £1 billion a year. 1 billion. Forget the Salaam Project now. Forget us. I'm talking about Urban Flavors. I'm talking about the Windrush initiatives. I'm talking about Darul Aloom. Many Muslim youth work organizations. I'm talking about Muslim youth work skills. I'm talking about many others, They are struggling to do youth programs. And these Muslim charities are wasting so much money on bureaucracy. Don't get me wrong, they're doing good work. MashaAllah. Islamic Relief doing good work. Minhaj Welfare doing good work. Penny Appeal doing good work. Muslim Aid doing good work. But we need them to spend more money in the UK to help with youth projects. The more they keep on wasting money abroad, you're going to see more and more Muslim youths in prison. And if you think I'm joking, look how many Muslims are in prison in France. 70% of the people in French prisons are Muslim.
Yeah, but Ishmael, in France, let's be real about France. In France, there is a lot of institutionalized racism in France, towards the Muslims there, and that's probably why the population is so high in France. I'm not saying that the Muslims ain't committing crimes over there. Yeah. I'm saying there's been a statistic, once your name's Abdullah Muhammad and the judge sees you, it's more likely you're going to go to jail than somebody else if your name was Pierre or Francois. So it's quite different in France. And I mean, there's a lot of discrimination for the French over there. It's very difficult for you to even get a job in France, okay? If your name is name is Ali or Mohammed, it's very difficult for you to get a job if you're based in France. Very, very difficult.
Very.
You could be in the suburbs in France. You could have a degree of the setup, but once they see that name, you know, on the
French
TV,
are more biased.
can be
Britain, we
very
have much more
difficult.
opportunity. And this is another issue. This what it is in Britain. Okay, you can say what you want to say. Yes, colonialism. Yes, I ain't debating that. But the Raj, yes, real talk. I'm not debating that. But the reality is, Muslims and people of color, so-called BAME, we have more opportunities here in the UK than anywhere else in Europe. And what it is, we've got people, I call them, how can I call them? Opportunity hustlers. They're going around telling our Muslim youths, there's no opportunities for you here. The government is Islamophobic. The government's racist. You can't achieve. You can't do nothing. They hate Muslims. So they're telling our young people at 12, 13, 14, they're not saying it, but what they're saying subliminally, which they're not aware of, there's no need for you to study. There's no need for you to go college. No need for you to go to university, because no matter what qualifications you get, you're not going to get nowhere, because this system hates Muslims. We need to get rid of these so-called, how can I say them, opportunist hustlers in the Muslim community, because they're causing more harm than good. And they're dimming the light of Muslim youths with much potential.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. I mean, you shouldn't be giving them the wrong message, because there is a lot of opportunities within the UK for Muslims, a lot more than there is in France. There is a lot of opportunities if people apply themselves. There is definitely a lot of opportunities here, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, and Britain is a country where it's opened itself up to it's quite open to the Muslims. It's not closed like France. France is very difficult right now. Do you know what I mean? Very difficult to live in France. A lot of people, as you and I, are coming from France and Sweden and different countries to come to the UK, because they say the UK is a lot more open. They can practice more. There's work here. There's education, and they feel part of the British society. They actually make you feel part of the society. Do you know what I mean? Which is hats off to them. Do you know what I mean? You know, because that's what you want. If people are going to live here, you have to make them feel part of the society. You don't want to say to them, "Hey, you're not British," or "You can never be British." That's what they say in France. They say, "You're not French. You're Algerian," or "You're not French. You're Moroccan," or "You're not French. You're Senegalese." You know. And, you know, the British don't say that in this system here. They don't say, "Hey, you know, you're not British." In fact, they embrace the fact that we are Black British, or we are French British, or we are, if you're Algerian, you're Algerian British. Do you know what I mean? Or you're Arab British. They actually embrace that. So that's what makes it the United Kingdom, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? That's what makes people feel proud, to say, "I'm British." Like someone like Marcus Rashford will put on the shirt. Maybe his parents come from Jamaica or whatever. It'll be a little Kiss the Free Lion shirt, like, you know, "I'm proud to be part of this society." Or Ian Wright, you know, as an ex-footballer, proud to actually be a Jamaican-born British footballer. Do you know what I mean? You know, so, you know, they actually make you feel accepted. Yes, there's issues within the British society. There is. Everybody knows that. There's a lot going on in terms of institutional racism, and hopefully we'll overcome that one day as it's opening up. So tell us, Brother Ishmael, in terms of knife crime, what do you have to deal with knife crime in terms of the Salaam Project? What are the things that you deal with day to day, going into schools and prisons and stuff like that? And how can we fight knife crime ourselves? Because it's very disturbing. Before you come in, there was a story of a father that got stabbed to death in Willesden. I don't know if you heard of it last week.
I had a story yesterday.
Now he was defending his son. Right, a 40-year-old man, he was defending his son and he got stabbed to death. Now, it's heartbreaking, you know, that if the mayor and these people, Boris Johnson, you know, Bojo, whatever they call him, can they somehow, Boris Johnson, can they change the legislation so that, you know, people can get 10 years for carrying a knife? If you're changing the legislation just for silly little things, change the legislation for knife crime. People's lives are being lost, man. Lives are being shattered. Yeah? Change the legislation. You're going to change the legislation for silly things. Change it for knife crime. It's worse than carrying a gun right now.
Yeah.
It's worse than carrying a gun. And let's be honest. Some of these kids are carrying in these crazy army knives that are massive like this. Yeah, even the Gurkhas that fight for the British Army or these wars don't carry these guns. I saw a video the other day. The kid he pulled out a knife, it was this big, and I don't know if you saw it. It was on Insta, and he chased the guy and he went for him, and the guy had his child with him. He fell over, his child fell over. He got back up and he ran into the shop. And the only reason they didn't pursue him because he ran into a sweet shop. Otherwise, he probably would have been dead. The knife was that big, no joke. This big, you know.
Yes, so yeah. Yeah, all I can say is as a father myself, someone sent me the video yesterday and told me the story. And Willesden, that's where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Willesden, Chapter Road, down the road from where that. So all I can say is as parents, we need to be communicating with our kids. Hi there, how you doing? Spending time with our kids. Us as parents, don't get me wrong, myself included, we're so busy trying to find ways to pay the bills, trying to sort out a holiday, sort out treats, 9 to 5, sometimes 5 to 9 and vice versa. We don't get enough time with our kids. So the main thing is we need to spend more time with our kids, okay? The second thing is, in this knife crime issue, we need to lobby the London Mayor's office and the government, and we need to bring in certain laws. What it is, I believe, I'm going to be controversial. I believe Boris Johnson, Priti Patel, and Sadiq Khan, they want to stop knife crime. What it is, between them and like me and you on the ground, youth workers, there's this invisible blockade. And I call it the invisible brick wall of incompetence. Right. These people are think tanks, civil society organizations, policy making.
Too many of them. Too many of them. They ain't doing nothing. Too many of them
who don't have a clue. And these people are the equivalent. You only got a block drain. So you got the beginning of the drain, the water goes down, but there's a block drain. These people are the block drain. And these are the people that are stopping in changing simple laws. Like you say, 10 years if you carry a knife.
Too many of them.
If you bring that law in, and you know what? Not even just 10 years. I would even say 5,000 hours community service, cleaning the parks, cleaning the walls. You bring that in and see how quick. See how quick it's carrying knives.
This thing is taking lives. What they've got to do, they've got to come in and implement it and say, listen, you get caught, sorry for the noise, you get caught carrying a knife, okay? It's 10 years straight. You get caught carrying a knife. It should be the same as a firearm because it's more, the damage that it's doing at the moment is more harrowing than a firearm.
Yeah.
Viewers, I just want to apologize for the noise. There's some roadworks next door that is out of my control. It's not something that I can tell them to stop. So I just want to apologize to the viewers if you can hear some drilling going on. It's actually some roadworks that's happening next door to an adjacent apartment. Yeah, Ishmael. So that's something that, you know, needs to be done. Bring in the legislation. They're changing all these laws. You know, ULED for the parking and all this, that, the other. You're bringing in all these laws. These people's lives is more important than bloody ULED.
Definitely, definitely. And we need to get more youth programs in communities because, as we know, loads of youth clubs have been closed. Now, I'm not just blaming Conservative. There are many youth clubs that I know personally.
Under Labour, they was
closed
getting
by
closed.
Labour councillors.
Under Labour, they was getting closed. Listen to this. If they need to open more youth centres because a lot of these young people don't have nothing to do. Okay, and it's not that they don't have nothing to do. They need more things to do. You can create more tech programs. You can create more creative arts programs and build more youth clubs. If you're allowing people to come in, all these developers to build all these houses all over London, are you telling me you can't say to some of them, listen, you know, you're building all these houses. You got to build a youth club every time you build a house. You got to build a youth club every time you build a house in an area. The mayor could have put that into place where it's brought into the contract that you ain't building this unless you're building youth clubs in this area. Trust me, if these young people have got things to do, it's going to benefit them. Do you understand me?
Exactly. What you're saying, that is common sense. This is showing you that the people who are advising Sadiq Khan, the people that are advising Boris Johnson, the people who are advising Priti Patel, they're incompetent, out of touch, out of date, and they don't have a clue. They're just there because maybe their cousin knows someone or maybe their
You,
ex-girlfriend. They're
you,
useless.
you've invited me to the mayor's office before, and I've gone down and I've sat there with all these organisations in this forum, and they all come with their fancy briefcases and this and that. They all sit down and they've all got all these fancy names for their organisation. But to be honest with you, I don't see any of them making a change, bro.
None of them.
They're getting all this funding. They've all got these fancy titles. They're getting all these big salaries, but really and truly, they ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, real talk. And this is one of the problems. This is one of the problems. And the thing is, yeah, the sad reality is the people who are giving the funding knows what you're saying. But because of the way the system is built, they're just going with the flow. Incompetent organizations getting support.
We should, Ishmael, today I think we should set up a what do you call it? We should set up a what's that thing when you do the signature thing where you take it to 10 Downing Street? What do they call
petition.
It? We should make a pact today to do a petition. We send it to the mayor's office, or we send it to Boris Johnson's office to say we want to change the legislation on knife crime. We've just had enough, bro.
Yeah,
we've had enough.
I'll be real with you. If you're a parent in London right now, don't get me wrong, it's all over the UK, but in London, that's where it's hardcore. If you're a parent in the UK, it must be, oh my gosh, you must be making sujood when your kids come home at night. Come on.
How many signatures do you need for that petition, Ishmael? For them to
10,000.
10,000.
For them to talk about it in the House of Commons.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's do this. We can get that, definitely. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's go for it. Let's
make a pact. We start from today. We're going to try and get 10,000 signatures to bring in legislation for them to change the law on knife crime. It needs to be done. Right? They're changing legislation for things that they want to change it for, just like that. But we need to come together. We need to make this happen. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can get this done, because too many people are getting stabbed, to be honest with you. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. Check this out. You come from Jamaica, I come from Sierra Leone. I can walk down the streets of Freetown. Nobody's going to pull a knife on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And those places are considered, not as civilized as the UK, so they say, right? Or Jamaica, Kingston, you can walk down the street in Kingston and no one's going to pull a knife on you. No. But here in London, every week somebody's getting stabbed.
Every week.
And also, I take it back to the discipline. They've taken away the discipline from the teachers. They've taken away the discipline from the parents at home. You can't smack your kids and all this stuff. And so these kids think they run the show.
Yeah. Because what the kids say is, if you touch me, children's services. And that scares the parents. And they're thinking, boy.
While they're at it, they should change the legislation on smacking as well. I think that'd be a good job.
Moderate smacking.
Yeah, moderate. Old school, where my mum used to bring out the belt with the buckle on it and lick you. We'd be running all over the place. It never done us any harm. Do you know what I mean? Never done that.
Yeah,
we turned out all right.
It done me the world of good. I'll be real. It done me the world of good. But because when I was in that situation, I was thinking, whoa, if my mom and dad hear about this, I'm gonna get the buckle. I'm gonna get in trouble. So that said, no, it's okay. Bye. On
a serious note, to recap, what do you think the solution is, Ishmael, for knife crime, for the prisons, for the workshops, for the single parent family? What do you think the solutions are?
The solution, one thing I would say the solution is we need more men stepping up. We need more men mentoring. We need more men involved in youth work. We need more men in schools. We need
schools, definitely.
Engaging, because I'm going to be controversial again. In schools are overwhelmed. There's too many women teachers.
100%.
There's not a balance. A lot of all the main teachers are women, and then all the learning support, teaching assistants, the ones with the short-term contracts are men. Yeah, we need to get an equilibrium of balance, because some of these young guys, I believe, there's other issues, but some of them are internally rebelling against the feminization of schools, the feminization of society. That's the first thing. We need more men to step up in the society. We need more mentors, more youth workers, more teachers that are men, especially men of Afro-Caribbean, Asian, Arab heritage to step up.
When you say the feminization of schools, what do you mean?
In some schools now, did you know that football is banned?
Huh?
Someone told me about this at a wedding in Ilford, actually. And I thought, oh, he's talking about the rubbish. He said to me, schools are getting more feminized. He told me this 8 years ago.
Would you say it's because they predominantly got a lot of women working with the children? Would you say that's why?
Yes, and don't get me wrong. Most of the women are doing an excellent job, are first class. But how can you ban football from schools? You ban play fighting from schools. And as you know, being a young man, that is part of your, how can I say, you need that.
Part of your DNA, it's part of your
DNA.
Yeah,
for your masculinity.
Yeah.
A lot of masculine things in schools are banned. There's a school I was doing a project in. They banned football for a long time. And I was thinking, you banned football. They banned football. They banned play fighting.
No. They need to reevaluate that. If it is true, it needs to be reevaluated, because I think it's very important for the boys to be boys and the girls to be girls, and vice versa. You know, it's very important for the young men to be able to engage in sports and, you know, wrestling and whatever it is, football and stuff like that. I think it's very important for them to be engaged in that. I don't think it shouldn't be taken away. And us as parents, we should step up as well. If they're going to say we're going to do, we say we don't like it.
Yeah, parents, we need to engage with our kids more. We need to be like, I'll be real. When I growing up, I never really talked much to my dad. I'll be honest with you. My dad used to come, he used to work hard, come home, mom used to cooking dinner.
But do you talk to your son?
Now, yeah, I've talked to my son regular. How are you doing? How was school today? What did you do? What was good? What was bad?
Well, I was lucky. I used to engage with my dad. I used to talk to him.
Yeah, but what I'm realizing, many kids do not speak to their mum and dad.
100%.
I never forget, a group of young girls were telling me, growing up, all their dads and parents told them about Islam is not to do the thing before marriage, wear hijab, and respect the Quran. That's it. I was in shock. I said, what? That's all you were told? He said, yeah, that's what we were told. That other than that, we never know nothing about Islam. Yeah,
it's quite difficult. Obviously, you want your parents to engage with you a bit more and say, you know, the other bits and pieces that's in between. But you see, sometimes it can be a bit dogmatic, the way children are taught things. And sometimes you have to break things down for them and engage with them. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, talk to people according to their level.
Yes.
Right? Don't talk to them according to like my level, like my daughter's level or my son's level or their level. You know, it's different. I need to sometimes come down onto their level and speak to them, you know, so that I can understand where they're coming from, as opposed to me just throwing my views and my opinions onto them of how I see the world. I want to see how they see it. Let me engage with them and see if we can come to some kind of agreement or some kind of conclusion where I can deal with them in their world and help them, you know, maneuver through their world, and where the wisdom comes in, you just put the wisdom into places here and there, and hopefully give them the right tools to go through and get things done, inshallah.
Yeah, because by speaking to you, I've been thinking, not myself, maybe doing it in partnership with you, there's a big need for parented classes, because there's basic things our kids want to know, and we're not answering them. And like, I'm not going to mention the subject. There were some questions our kids were asking us, and my wife wouldn't give her the answer. She was trying to dodge it. And I said to my wife, if we don't give the answer, they're going to get it from someone else.
100%.
This is another thing, us as parents. So we need more parenting classes. If there are any good organizations, there's one in Birmingham, Good Parenting, that does it. But we need, that's what is needed. That's one of the solutions. If we had better parents and understanding, especially if we have parents with no disrespect, from a back home mindset, their minds in Bangladesh, their minds in Africa, their minds in the Caribbean, their minds in
Sierra Leone. The minds in Sierra Leone when they're in the UK.
The minds in Jamaica, We have to understand, we have to have our minds here because our kids are here.
100%.
All the time about our pension when we go back to retire. But anyway,
100%. It's been amazing having you on the show today. There's so much more we could talk about. We'll have to do a part 2 because
definitely
there's a lot of issues with surrounding the youth and stuff like that within the UK today. There's a lot of issues going on. Hopefully, one day we can live in a society where we don't have to have social services. We don't have to have this. We don't have to have that. we don't have to have prisons. The prisons will be empty. What a lovely society it would be in, where we don't have to have these things in such a big way. We don't have to be scared when we're walking down the street when we see a bunch of youths thinking, they're going to pull a knife out or this, that, the other. It's very, very sad. And may rest in peace the father that lost his life in Willesden.
Yeah,
such a sad thing to hear about. And you know, we're on the ground here and we're trying to make a difference. Ishmael Lee South, it's been amazing having you on Radio Ramadan today, 80.7 on your FM dial with me, Ali Kamal, the Muslim poet. Thank you for coming on. Have a great iftar, and we'll speak to you soon, inshallah. And we wish the Salaam Project all the best with all the work that it's doing in London and in Manchester. And for those who don't know the Salaam Project, just go on to Instagram. They're on Instagram, and you can get all the details of Salaam Project and what it is and what they do. And if you would like to book the Salaam Project, the director is here. Just send him a DM, as they say on the Instagram, and I'm sure that he'll reply you. My brother, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah, my brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.